Hi beautiful yogis, welcome to your beautiful recharge flow. So today's flow is actually going to be a mix of two different paces, so to say. So the beginning of the class is going to be a lot more slower, a lot more, I would say, also restorative. We'll be working a lot actually on calming down the nervous system. And then in the second part of a class, we'll make it a lot more dynamic and get a little bit of a sweat on, just because it helps to kind of release any kind of blocked energies or emotions inside of you. So we'll get the best of both worlds in today's class. The only prop you will need for today is a yoga brick or yoga block. If you don't have this, feel free to grab a bunch of books and stack them together so that it's quite stable, and that could replace the use of the block. You can put the block for now to the side, but just have it handy somewhere towards the back of the mat, because we'll be using it while we're down, laying down onto your back. But before we start, we're going to do a little bit of breath awareness. Now, if it's hard for you to sit up straight without compromising the low back by rounding the low back, take that block that I told you to put to the side and go and sit on it. If you don't need a block, you can put it to the side like I said before. Just place your hands onto your knees, close your eyes, take a moment to make yourself comfortable. So maybe roll your shoulders a few times, you could roll your neck. And then allow your shoulders to drop down the spine, away from the ears. Gently start drawing the attention inwards towards your body. And just become aware of the fact that you have a body. Notice how that feels. Notice how your body feels. A lot of times during our days, we disconnect with our body and we're so lost in our mind and our thoughts. So just take a moment here to make that connection again. Bring your awareness all the way into your fingertips and your toes, the top of your head, all the extremities of the body. And then also notice your immediate surroundings. So the floor underneath you, who is supporting you, the air around you. Also notice the qualities of the air. If you are in London or anywhere in Europe at the moment, you'll probably feel the heat wave through the air. And even see if you can find or notice a small weight of the air onto your skin. Notice all the different sounds that you can hear. And then gently start deepening your breath. Breathing from the bottom of your belly all the way to the back of your neck. And you can take your time here to build up the breath, so you don't have to force yourself to go to your fullest breath possible. Just take your time to build it up. And gently find your ujjayi breath by slightly constricting the back of your throat. Same kind of mechanism as if you were to fog up a mirror. So it's that same kind of sensation in the throat. The only difference is that we keep our mouth closed and we make that sound both for the inhales and the exhales. Bring all your awareness towards the sound that your throat is making here. Allow it to almost hypnotize you. To the point where everything else around you falls to the background. 2 more deep breaths. And then gently open your eyes. We'll come to lay onto our backs to start the class. So come all the way down. Again, make sure you have your block or your stack of books somewhere close to you. And then we'll just start by bringing our knees into our chest. So just give them a good hug in. And for now, no rolling side to side. Just try to stay stable here. And then see if you can bring your breath towards the outsides of the hips here, which is mainly the muscles that we're stretching here. You could also feel it up into the low back, maybe a bit into the hamstrings, the tops of the hamstrings as well. So hamstrings are located at the back of your thighs. See if you can breathe all the way down into the hips. Allow the muscles of your low back to release down into the floor. Bring the awareness up the spine towards the middle back, the upper back, the shoulders. Allow those as well to succumb to gravity. Allow them to become heavy. Relax the muscles of your neck, the muscles of your face, especially the muscles in between the eyebrows, around the eyes, muscles of your jaw. And then from here, if you want to, you can gently rock the hips from side to side, which should feel really good in the low back, should feel a little bit like a massage. Now, if this hurts your spine, you can just stay still in the middle, so you don't have to do this if it doesn't feel good. Keep your breath steep. And then from here, you keep your right knee into your chest, extend your left leg forward, bring it onto the floor. With both hands, take hold of your shin here and press your knee in towards the body. You can relax your right leg, your left leg. So allow the left toes to fall a little bit out to the side to relax the front of the left thigh. And then start bringing your breath towards the right hip here. So we're using the breath to release the muscles in the hips. Basically, breathing deeply will help you turn off your fight and flight mode, which a lot of us are in the modern lifestyle that we're living. And this also helps us once we turn it off. It kind of gives our muscles the permission to turn off as well and to release that tension. And then you could stay here if you want to take a little bit further and a little bit higher up into the hamstrings. Just take hold of the sole of the foot, flip your foot up towards the ceiling, and then press your knee down towards your rib cage. So this is basically a reversed high lunge, but on your back. Again, nice deep breaths. Allow this left leg to still stay heavy. See if you can breathe all the way towards the back of the left leg. And maybe you'll feel a little bit of compression at the front of the right thigh into the hip crease, which is very normal. As long as it's not painful, you can just stay here. You'll actually notice the muscles of the quads, the front of the right upper leg relaxing as well. Beautiful. 3 more breaths here. Notice if you have any resistance to the stretch, if you feel any kind of discomfort, not painful discomfort. If you feel pain, please go out of the pose. You don't want to cause pain. But our hips are known to store emotions. So it might be that as we're stretching them, discomfort comes up. See if you can breathe through that. Good. From here, release your foot back towards your hip. With your left hand, take hold of the outside of the right knee. You'll pull the knee over towards the left side. You can keep your foot laying onto the left upper thigh here, and then extend your right arm sideways. Now, if you don't have a space to fully extend your arm out, just bring your arm at a 90-degree angle instead. And you'll notice if we just go into the twist here, your right shoulder will be usually lifted off the floor. To correct that, we're going to walk the shoulders off towards the left side, so towards the side of the knees, and then that should usually fix it. So from here, you can bring your gaze towards your right hand, maybe close your eyes. And see if you can relax your legs. You should feel a nice twist towards or through the low back. Two more deep breaths. And then we'll bring it over to the other side. So this time, just extend your right leg out forward, bring your left knee to your chest, hug it in with both hands. Again, we'll stay in this variation for a little while before we possibly take it up a notch, depending on what feels best for you. So again, here, allow both legs to be heavy. So to relax your right leg a little bit more, allow the toes to fall out to the side. See if you can bring your breath all the way down towards the left hip, the outside of the left hip, the hip crease. Again, you're breathing from the lowest part of the belly all the way up to the back of the throat. Two more breaths in this variation. And from here, option to stay here. You could take it a little bit further. Just take hold of the sole of the foot, flip your foot up towards the ceiling, press the foot down so that the knee comes a little bit closer towards the rib cage again, and then a whole lot of breathing. So you'll notice from the moment that you flip your foot up towards the ceiling, the stretch will go from the outside of the hip where it was before, a little bit higher up into the hamstrings, the back of the thighs, bringing you a little bit deeper into the muscles around the hips. Also notice if you have a tendency to kind of lean over towards the left side as you're stretching that part of the body, try to keep both hips down onto the floor. Two more breaths. See if you can keep your attention either with your breath or with the sensations that you feel in the body. And then from here, if you're in option 2, come back to option 1. So bring your foot down. With the right hand, take hold of the outside of the left knee, pull the knee over the body towards the right side. Again, you can have this foot down to the floor, but for a lot of people, it feels more comfortable to have the foot on the inside of the right thigh. Then extend your left arm sideways, or maybe at a 90-degree angle if you don't have the space. See if you can walk your shoulders a little bit towards the right to have both shoulders down onto the floor. And then all you'll do is look over towards the left hand. We'll stay here for a couple of deep breaths. Again, this is a passive pose, so just allow your whole body to melt down here. A lot of people, especially in this pose, will have a tendency to hold on to tension in the inner thighs. So see if you can release that, if you notice that you are doing that. See if you can breathe space into the outside of the left hip. Two more breaths. And on the next inhale, bring both feet onto the floor. Walk the feet in towards your hips. You have your feet hip distance apart, so there's a bit of space here in between your legs. And what you can do is actually lift up your hips, place them a little bit further away from you, so that there's more length in the low back here. From here, just have the arms out alongside your body with the palms facing up. Maybe tuck your shoulder blades a little bit under to keep your chest nice and open and relaxed. From here, start pressing into your heels firmly down. Imagine that you're trying to drag your heels in towards the body. So this will help you engage the hamstrings and then engage your glutes, which will help you lift up the hips. So we're lifting up the hips here. Bring them as high until they form a line between your knees and your shoulders. And then you have a few different options with your hands. Either you keep them out alongside the body, you could bring them together underneath the body and interlace the fingers, or if you're quite flexible, see if you can reach for your heels. So just a few different options. Again, just stay with whichever one feels best for you at the moment. And the top of the body is pretty relaxed here, so relax the fronts of the shoulders, your arms. Most of the work is being done by the core, hips, and legs. So keep pressing your heels in. Keep imagining that you're trying to drag your heels in towards the body. Your bum muscles are firmed. We're just warming up the muscles around the hip before we go into more stretching. From here, keep the hips where they are. Take your block. Place it underneath your sacrum, which is at the end of your spine. It's basically your tailbone. Now, if you don't know where to find that place, your sacrum, or where to put your block, what you could do is bring your fingers to the highest point here of your frontal hip bone, so the little parts of the hips that are sticking out. From here, you'll travel your fingers straight down, and you should arrive in the middle of the side of your block. And that's how you know that you've positioned your block in the right place. Also, you'll notice that there's kind of like a natural shelf for that block to be. Like, it feels quite comfortable and quite nice to have the block here. So from here, just bring the arms back alongside the body. We have different variations for this one, so you could choose whichever one feels best. The first one is to stay right here. Allow your hips to be really, really heavy, so allow the block to support the hips. You could even relax the legs here. If you want to take it a little bit further, you can come into a supported back bend and just extend the legs forward. You can allow your toes here to fall out to the side unless you notice that that hurts your sacrum, so your low back, the little tailbone part in between the hips. Now, if you need more of a calming practice where you feel like maybe you've been very anxious today and you need something that feels more grounding to you, you could actually lift your legs up into the air. And the legs don't have to be super extended, because usually that requires some energy to stay here. You can actually keep your knees bent. For a lot of people, this will be a little bit easier to relax into this pose, but you'll still get the benefits of the inversion. So this is another option. So just choose whichever one feels best to you. We'll stay here for approximately 5 more breaths. Again, keeping your attention with the sound of the breath. Two more breaths. Alright, next to exhale, bring your feet back down if you are in your option 3. If you're in option 2 with the legs extended, just walk them back in towards you. Lift your hips up, put your block to the side. You can bring it a little bit forward because we'll need it later on in the practice. You can bring your knees into your chest, hug them in with both hands, give them a good squeeze in, and take hold of the backs of the thighs, roll yourself forward. to a seated position. Once you're here, just bring the soles of the feet together with your knees apart. Good. From here, usually we warm up the hips by doing like little butterfly motions, but we've actually quite warmed up the hips with that bridge variation. So we'll just go straight into the stretch. So on the inhale, lift your spine up, bring your shoulders down, and then exhale, fold over. So just allow your chest to be heavy here. And imagine that you're trying to bring your chest towards your big toes. So you're reaching forward with the spine, and the bending actually comes more from the hips than from the spine itself. You can allow your head to hang heavy here if that makes it a little bit more of a relaxing pose for you. And then start breathing deep down towards the hips. And we'll stay here for quite a while. Notice if you're holding on to tension in the backs of the hips, maybe even into the low back. Or maybe you feel this stretch a lot more in the inner hips. Three more breaths. And on the inhale, come back up. We'll make it a little bit more into a sequence here. So on your next exhale, bring your legs together. Take hold of the backs of the upper thighs. Inhale, open the chest. Bring your shoulders back. And on the exhale, lean back, come to your Navasana with the legs extended, or the lower legs extended so that they're parallel to the floor. From here, see if you can reach your arms up. Inhale. Exhale, drop your legs down, come towards a forward fold. Just reach to whatever you can hold on to. It doesn't have to be the toes, it could be the quads here, or maybe your lower legs, maybe the ankles. It doesn't really matter. We're not really like fully warmed up yet, so no worries. You should feel a nice gentle stretch in the hamstrings here, so the backs of the thighs. Again, with every inhale, see if you can find a little bit more length through the spine. Every exhale allows you to get a little bit deeper into the stretch. Good. Now we'll do that with a breath. So bring your feet back together on the inhale. Exhale, fold over. Inhale here. Exhale, come up, bring the legs together. Take hold of the backs of the thighs. Inhale, lean back. Bring the legs out. Exhale here. Inhale, reach your arms overhead. Really hard for the core. Exhale, extend the legs forward. Fold forward. Inhale here. Exhale, come up. Bring the legs together. Inhale, extend the spine. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale here. Exhale, come up, bring the legs together, take hold of the backs of the thighs. Inhale, lean back, feet come off the floor. Exhale here. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, extend legs forward, fold over. Inhale here, we'll do the sequence one more time. Exhale, come to your Baddha Konasana. Inhale, extend the spine. Exhale, fold over. Inhale here. Exhale, bring your knees together, take hold of the legs. Inhale, lean back, Navasana. Exhale here. Inhale, reach hands overhead. Exhale, extend the legs forward, fold over. Good, we'll stay in our Paschimottanasana for about 3 more breaths. So I know I said that the beginning of the practice was going to be a bit more relaxing, but there's a little bit of a workout intertwined into it, just because it's so important to warm up the muscles properly before we go into stretching them. And then on the inhale, lift yourself back up, cross your lower legs. Now if you can, bring the hands out in front of you and roll over your knees to a tabletop position, or you can take however many steps you need to come to all fours. So from here, make sure that your knees are right underneath your hips. Walk the hands away from you. We'll come into puppy pose. So the arms are fully stretched out. Bring your forehead down to the floor. And you want to make sure that your hips are right on top of your knees. So you're making a 90-degree angle with your legs. Now, if you can't control or can't control yourself in the sense of like noticing if you're doing it right or not, maybe practice with a mirror somewhere close by so that you notice what you're doing until you have enough proprioception or body awareness to know what the body is doing while you're in the poses. All right, enough blah blah. Bring your palms down firmly onto the floor. So press them down to lift the forearms off the floor. Press your chest down, let it sink down towards the floor, and then broaden your shoulder blades. So bring a little bit more space in between your shoulder blades. You're pressing your hips firmly back towards the wall behind you. Now, if you're quite flexible in the upper body and you don't feel a lot of stretch here, what you could do is bring the hands together into prayer. Walk the elbows to shoulder distance and then press your chest down towards the floor. This will help you deepen the stretch here. We'll stay here for about 5 more deep breaths. So you can breathe space into the armpits, the backs of the arms, the shoulders, chest. Three more breaths. Excuse all of the sirens outside, all of the police cars and ambulances. One more breath in and out. Good. From here, come back to your tabletop position. Lift your knees off the floor, come to a plank position. So the hands are right underneath the shoulders, feet are hips distance apart. Don't worry, we won't stay here. Just press your hips back, come towards a downward dog. And this is how you know the perfect distance between your hands and your feet. So coming from plank to down dog measures out the perfect space between the hands and the feet. Now, if you notice that you are carrying quite a bit of weight into the shoulders here, you feel like your shoulders are about to give up, you can actually change the position of your down dog and walk the feet a little bit closer than you usually would. So you're a bit more in a shorter down dog, which is, it's going to make it a little bit harder for you to then flow to a plank because you'll have to walk the feet back, but it allows you to get more out of your down dog. So if you have to walk your feet closer, if you feel like you can balance out the weight well, then just keep your hands and feet where they are when you flow from plank to down dog. Good. See if you can press your chest a little bit more through the arms to lengthen the spine. 2 more deep breaths here. And then we'll go straight into our little bit more dynamic flow. So from here, just bend the knees, sit your hips back, take a little steps towards the front edge of the mat. Good. For now, just keep your feet hips distance apart. Just allow the upper body to hang heavy. Take hold of opposite elbows as that feels alright for your low back. And then just allow your head to be super, super heavy here. So relax the muscles of your neck. You can keep your knees bent if that feels better at this point. And see if you can bring the breath towards the side body here. So the sides of your rib cage. Also the sides of the hips. Two more breaths. Maybe bring your weight a little bit more forward into the toes. All right, next inhale, come to a halfway lift. So either bring your hands onto the upper thighs, option 1. Option 2, hands onto the lower legs. Option 3, fingertips onto the floor. Now, what you want is to make sure that your spine is tall and it's lengthening forward. So you don't want to be like here. You want to keep the spine as long as possible. So depending on where you have to place the hands to make sure that that's happening, that's basically where you place the hands. All right, so inhale here, lengthen the spine. Exhale, fold over. Inhale, roll all the way up, bring the arms overhead, stretch out the whole body, press through the heels down, and exhale, hands in front of the heart. Good. We'll come into Utkatasana, chair pose. So from here, just bend your knees, sit your hips back as if there's a chair behind you and you're trying to press your bum down onto the chair. So most of the weight here is in the heels. There is almost no weight in the toes. So they